Hello everyone, it's that time once again to take a look back at the week in Nintendo Land. Yes, this is the podcast where we recap everything from the past 7 days, giving you our thoughts on the latest news, rumours and releases. We have plenty to discuss in this episode, including the console launch that everyone has been talking about, the Game & Watch Super Mario Bros., and we'll be taking a look at what went wrong with the lacklustre launch of Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and why the monetization of Pokémon Home might be cause for concern about the future of the franchise. I'm Alex Boltwood, and I'm joined, as always, by the dynamic duo, Nathan and Anna.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to the show. And this is your captain speaking, or at least it will be after I finish introducing him. It's Alex Blake, a.k.a. Cptn Alex. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me on. I'm pretty excited to be here. So
you're our first official guest outside of the Switch Player team. So
oh shoot! Look at that! I did not know that. I feel super special.
And now, Alex, we're obviously huge fans of yours. But for listeners who might not know what it is you do, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. So I try to do literally everything. I try to stream, make all sorts of online content, YouTube videos, Twitch, whatever may be it. But if you know me, it's probably because I make custom video game controllers and consoles, mostly Nintendo Switch, backplates, Joy-Cons, all that stuff, Pro controllers. That's pretty much where I got my name from. That's where most people know me from, but yeah.
And what's the latest thing you've been working on? Are you working on any projects at the moment?
Yeah, but not Nintendo ones.
It's all right to discuss other things. It's fine.
Well, you were saying on Twitter you're working on one of your favorite projects yet, a PlayStation 5 mod.
Yep. So I got the PS5 3 days ago now, and as soon as I got it out of the box, I took it apart and started customizing the faceplates on it, which obviously is something that a lot of people are excited to do because those things come off so easily. I'm working on PS5 controllers and faceplates. Obviously, I'm always working on Nintendo stuff too. Right now, I got a custom order for a Hades controller that looks amazing, so I'm excited to share that really soon. I haven't played the game. I've heard amazing things, but the character design and stuff in the game is awesome, so it translates really well to a controller, so I'm super excited about that one.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see that. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
And your Persona PS5 controller looked so good as well.
Oh man, Persona, everybody just loves Persona. I've never played Persona. I only know Joker from Smash Brothers. But yeah, that controller is blowing up. That's got likes on Twitter right now. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
If we're putting out our favorites that you've made, mine's the Suicune design. I think everybody likes that.
Yeah, that is my all-time bestseller. I've made so many of those. I'm like so sick of it. But every time
it's so pretty. I see why.
Every time I make one, I'm like, damn, these really are super nice looking. But I've made so many that I'm like, sometimes I just feel like my creativity is being stinted a little bit because I don't have time to make new things when I'm making so many of the old things. So yeah. But no, that is a great one.
Have you kept one for yourself, or you just fly them out?
I mean, I've got 6 Switches in my house.
Whoa!
And it's just me and my wife. So okay, I got mine from launch. So I have my launch Switch, and then I bought a second one because I was sick of taking mine apart to constantly take pictures of. So I was like, all right, let me just buy like a spare to like use for photo purposes, which is, I don't know, that probably sounds a little weird, but I don't want to take mine apart all the time. So I bought a spare on eBay, and I only bought the tablet because I was like, all right, I have plenty of Joy-Cons. I'll just buy a tablet. So I just bought the tablet on eBay. So that was my second one. And then my third one, I was on the Today Show in February, and they gave us a free Switch for being on the Today Show out of New York because they had like the Super Nintendo World, Japan, whatever promo going on.
And like punch the boxes.
Yeah. So I
wanted to do that.
They picked me to be on the show. And for being on the show, I got a free Switch. So that was my third Switch. And then the Switch Lite came out, and I bought a Switch Lite for myself. My wife got a Switch Lite, and then I had to have the special edition Pokemon Switch Lite. So 3 Switch Lites, 3 regular Switches, and God knows how many pros I'm going to get when those come out, but we'll see.
Yeah, you can't move for Switches in your house. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's yeah. It's pretty ridiculous, but
Right. So on to the Nintendo news. There's lots to chat about, but before we do, let's just remind ourselves of everything that's been happening this week. Forget the Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5, the real hardware launch we're excited about is the Game & Watch Super Mario Bros. Released on Friday, the mini handheld lets you play the original Super Mario Bros. Game from 1985, as well as the Lost Levels sequel. Plus, there's a version of the Game Ball and a functioning alarm clock thrown in for good measure too. Pokémon Go finally has Pokémon Home connectivity after an update was rolled out this week, meaning you can now transfer compatible Pokémon from Go to Sword and Shield. There is, however, a catch, as sending your creatures costs transfer energy, which can either be replenished over time or instantly recharged using Pokecoins. Pikmin 3's woes continue to mount. After failing to outperform its original release on the Wii U, the game has now dropped out of the UK chart to 27th during its second week on sale. Not exactly encouraging for those hoping for a fourth entry. So as part of their celebrations for Mario's 35th anniversary, Nintendo have released a little throwback machine called the Game & Watch Super Mario Bros., where you can play the original 1985 game and its sequel, The Lost Levels. And Nathan, you have one. You've been getting to grips with it. How is it?
Yeah, it's really cool. I've been enjoying it. It's just here. It's tiny. It's so cute. I didn't need another way to play Super Mario Brothers for so many reasons. Especially
after people played 35 too, like 100 million times over and over and over and over. I've heard multiple people say they're already burnt out on that specific Mario game.
Like, this is the most I've played Super Mario, the first one in my life, especially when All Stars came out as well. I was like, I'll play it there. Like, I feel like I could write like the first couple of levels down now if I really needed to. But this is cool. It's a really fun way to play it. It's obviously a commemorative product. This is not a, a Switch Lite contender. This is very much for fans. It's really, really dinky. You can just, oh God, that way. You can just about see it. But the little LCD screen is pretty cool. It actually feels quite well in terms of build. Oh God, that's going to make noise. It feels a little bit light and a little bit kind of toy-like, but I wouldn't want it to be anymore. This is clearly a novelty, and like I said, it feels steady enough that you can play with it, and I've had no problems getting through the first couple of levels because that's all I've played so far. But there's loads of little tricks. There's the loads of it's the 35 different Mario homages and stuff in there, and there is lots of really cool things in terms of like artwork and new tricks and shortcuts you can make. So it's pretty interesting. I haven't had time to properly explore, but I know.
What do you mean? Like, I know the many lives, but what else?
So there is the ultimate lives trick. You can play as Luigi in the ball game. There is there's still like the A world in Super Mario Brothers, but there's different ways to get to it. If you beat Lost Levels a few times, you get the access to the secret like A world. I don't know. There is a few places out there for loads of different tips and tricks. I haven't had a chance to test the load out.
I feel like that's something many years down the line. Sorry to interrupt you. People would really want just for those weird quirks.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I just playing Lost Levels with infinite lives is really fun because I might actually get through it. But yeah, I have been really busy this weekend, but I do want to really test it and try and find stuff on it. It feels like a treat for Nintendo fans. It feels like a treat for me that I can go through and like see these little homages and these little moments of like just pure fanboyism and be like, oh wow, that's so neat they put that in there. It's a love letter to people who love Mario, and it's gonna do very little for anyone else, but for people like us, I think it's a really fun product. I've seen so many people obviously unpacking PS5s and Xbox Series X's this week, and they're like, why are you spending money on this? And I'm like, you don't understand, man. I love Nintendo. Stuff like this is why I love Nintendo. Like, they are a toy maker. We say it over and over again, but they're a toy maker first, and they want to have these little moments of joy, and like, this is a really fun distillation of what they do for fans. So yeah, I think it's great. It's definitely not for everyone. But if you're a Nintendo fan and you see one somewhere, then yeah, sure, pick it up. It's great.
And Alex, have you got plans to kind of to get one? Are you gonna do like a custom design on one of them?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely getting a few. I don't think I'm going to customize them. I think just the build of them is probably a little bit too difficult. I think they're like an aluminum on the front plate, which I don't know that would hold paint too well. So I'm definitely not going to customize them, but I'm a huge fan of Game & Watch. So I'm probably going to put one on display with the rest of my Game & Watch collection. Probably put one on my desk to actually use as a clock and a game whenever I get bored sitting at my computer. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll keep one in the box or something, but I've got 3 on the way. So I'm pretty excited about it. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I can't believe I haven't yet, but
Yeah, I ordered one
time.
as well, but mine will also come in due time. I'm
Yeah.
excited just to have it.
Nathan, what is it like kind of playing? Because it looks quite small. What is it? Do you kind of get hand cramp after a while playing it, or is it still relatively comfortable in your hands?
I think the build of the actual buttons, if you can, oh God, I'm really getting confused about the way my camera is, but the actual build of the buttons, these feel pretty like sturdy. They stick out quite a lot. So there's not much overlap between these. So in terms of, and the D-pad is a classic Nintendo D-pad. So I think it's absolutely fine. I think this is a really comfortable way to play it. In fact, I don't have any issues. And, it's pretty much comparable to a NES controller in terms of how far apart the buttons are and how well they stick and how well they work. So I don't think it's any harder than any other way. It is small. Maybe if you had massive mega hands, like I'm quite dainty, so I'm probably fine. But some people might get a bit of cramp. But I think the actual build quality of it certainly feels sturdy enough that you can get a few good sessions in if you really want to complete Mario Brothers on this.
I think it's kind of like, it's quite an iconic design, and that kind of got me thinking about what I just wanted to ask what everyone's favorite Nintendo console designs are. Has anyone got a particular favorite? Because I've got a real soft spot for the GameCube. And that was just like perfect design for me. I love the little lunchbox handle. That was just brilliant. But I just wanted it anyway. Did
anyone actually carry it like that?
I think maybe I did to a friend's house.
Quite a lot, yeah.
I never carried it like that. I would put it in a bag. You people are crazy carrying your GameCubes around.
But then
what are you people doing?
You had all the cables and the controllers as well. So
the
you had no way to carry those around. Sling them over your shoulder.
Around this stuff. All right. Anyway, let's not talk about your weird GameCube carrying habits. No, I agree. I like the controller design for GameCube, but I think my favorite would be. I know this sounds. I'm gonna say two. One nostalgically and one just like practically. Nostalgically, I love the SP. I love that it was backlit. I love that I could just fold it up. I still love it. Like I bring it on the train. It's a great subway thing to just flip open, play, close it. It doesn't stop being lit like the DS when it closes, but that's like the only downside of it. It's a really good design. But my favorite practically is probably the Switch. I adore the Switch. I know that the Joy-Con drift like is a thing, but like just the concept of the Switch is just brilliant to me. That it's a home console that I can just pick up and play any of the games, literally any of the games on it, anywhere. It's not like the Wii U where you had to be in the room, like you couldn't go to the bathroom with it and the gamepad wouldn't work. If you didn't have a Wii U, it's not like the Switch in that regard.
We all tried. We
all tried to take it to the bathroom. Oh, we all tried to take it to the bathroom. But no, the Switch you can take to the bathroom. You can take to the subway. You can take to the pool, and you can just hand them a controller, and you can hand them a controller, and then you can use a Pro controller. And it's like, it's. I think the Switch is like it's all the Nintendo things coming together, the Wii and the DS, the 2-screen concept, like everything like came together eventually. I don't know. I love it.
I think that's fair.
I feel like I love the main unit, but the dock is just feels so flimsy and cheap and not much like effort with it. It feels like a Friday afternoon design when they were like, that'll do. That's fine.
The execution was not great. The docks feel cheap, and the Joy-Con drift and just the general how easy it is to break your Switch versus how I dropped my SP like 100 million times on pavement, like many times. I cannot tell you how many times I've dropped my SP. And it works perfect.
See, I think for me, the Switch is definitely the best idea, and it is still probably the best executed. but the build quality even now doesn't feel good enough for me. It doesn't feel as sturdy as like the days of like the DS Lite, where that thing, to me, the DS Lite is probably the best console Nintendo's ever made in terms of like build quality and iteration. Like I don't think the 3DS has ever felt quite as satisfying, and even the DSIs, even the maybe that one, like remember the matte DSi, the really nice black one, that was really good. But the DS Lite, after coming from the chunky DS, and I was in a particular space in college.
You're right. There is something. I was going to say the 3DS XL I have feels great, but there was something so clean and pure and perfect about the DS Lite. It just felt
just coming
so
off
good.
the back of the DS as well. It's just for them to come out with this like Apple-esque product that was pristine, one color, and suddenly it wasn't this gaudy, chunky thing you had to explain to your mates. Like, no, it plays video games. It's fun. Like suddenly you could show this off, and then your mum wanted to play Brain Training. That to me is the best console Nintendo.
I'm thinking about like Professor Layton and 358 over 2 days, and I'm just like my heart is soaring right now.
Yeah, like I prefer my Switch, but I think console-wise, that's the best design they've ever done.
Yeah, those were good days.
Alex, what about you? Have you got a particular favorite Nintendo console?
So for me, I feel like I look at things a little bit differently. I agree with everything. Like now that you're saying that about the DS Lite, I'm totally on board. I'm like, yeah, that does feel like a solid console compared to the 3DS and everything. But the original 3DS, I feel like, is on par with the DS Lite. I feel like those are definitely more solid than their larger counterparts. But for me, I don't know. I'm definitely on board with. I love the Switch. It's a toss-up for me between the Switch and the new 3DS. And so for me, as the artist and the console customizer, I look at it as the Switch is the most customizable console you can have, purely just based on the Joy-Cons and the amount of colors, and sometimes they put designs on Joy-Cons. So the ability to swap out your controllers and have a new console every single day is a big part of it for me. And then the new 3DS gave us the swappable faceplates. So that was probably that's probably my favorite, because I really want that to come back.
I wish they'd just do it on the dock at least.
Yeah,
like something. I feel like that would be so simple. I'd even like them just sell us extra docks. How much do those docks cost? If you sold us special edition ones, like with a new console, I'd have 3-4 docks in my house, like 100%.
Yeah, I mean, even if they just like made like a magnetic plate to just, I don't know, you could swap out magnets on the dock or something. There's got to be some way to do it easily. But yeah, I'm hoping it's not going to happen, but I'm hoping that the Switch Pro maybe brings back swappable plates. I mean, I feel like the Switch, I guess I'm kind of really in it, but I feel like the Switch customizing community is pretty large, that Nintendo's got to see that there's a market there for their own licensed products. I mean, even like Hori has the D-pad controllers and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think customizing the console is a really big perk for me. So I think the new 3DS really is probably my favorite right now.
I remember the Mario Maker faceplates, especially. I was looking at those and I was like, oh, they really nailed this. And then obviously there was like the Animal Crossing item ones and stuff. It was such a good concept. You're right. They could make so much money, because they can make as many Joy-Cons as they want, but if they're 80 quid, they're still only going to go to enthusiasts. But you do faceplates for like $10, 100%, they'd fly out.
Exactly. Yep. And I bought I got the new 3DS solely because it was like the Pokemon Red and Blue version. That was the 20th anniversary.
Yes.
5 years ago now? Yeah, 5 years ago. That's when I got it.
Killed for that. I would have killed for that.
I was that again. Now I have like 4 or 5 3DSs because of that. But that I had to get that one. But then the Mario Maker plates came out, and I swapped out my Pokemon ones for that, because the Mario Maker ones were awesome, with the 8-bit characters from Mario Maker on it. Like, I love that console.
So, Alex, out of everything you've done, controllers, consoles, what's your most favorite design? Have you got a particular one that kind of like is dear in your heart?
Oh gosh, I get this question all the time, and I don't know the answer, because I make new things so often that I'm like, oh, this one's like, my quality is always getting better, so I'm like, oh, this is my best design, this is my new favorite. But I don't know. I have a Chic Pro controller that I really, really like.
Yeah.
It's on my wall. You can't see it, but it's up there. And that is definitely one of my most popular. And I think it might be my personal favorite. Just like the combination of colors on it is awesome.
I have to have a look at that later. See if I can buy one. Is it so? Do you kind of sell those on your Etsy store, or is it purely on your store in Orlando?
I used to sell them on Etsy.
Yes, I was
gonna anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say on that note, like you have a lot of controllers that are very popular and things and designs that are very popular that you were selling on Etsy. But Nintendo, and you've also taken official action in the past to try to be a Nintendo brand ambassador. But at this point, Nintendo took issue with your designs.
Nintendo doesn't like me. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I try too hard and they're just like, dude, calm down. But I don't know. I feel like they don't like me. And if you want me to get into it, I totally will, but I don't want to hog the whole podcast on it. So if you want me to get into it now, I will. If you want me to get into it later, I'll be more than happy to. But there's a lot to talk about. So
I think we've just been talking about, the Nintendo customization kind of scene, and you are a large part of that. So I'd be happy to hear your story and how you've been affected by Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. All right, let's get into it. All right,
get comfortable.
So a year and a half ago, I'll start with like the whole cease and desist that they sent me because that's the most recent. So a year and a half ago, I started a Indiegogo Kickstarter project. My goal was to create a pro controller for every single character in Super Smash Brothers. That's my Pikachu one back there. So I designed in Illustrator a controller for literally every character that was released at the time. Obviously, there's more released now. So I designed a character for every single one. I put it on Kickstarter. I got massive support. I got like $65,000 on Kickstarter, and then Nintendo shut it down like immediately. And I'm like, I'm just trying to do art on controllers. I'm not trying to like whatever. It doesn't matter. But I was like, all right, so I'll change up some of the designs and I'll restart this. And I moved over to Indiegogo instead of Kickstarter, and it was successful. It went through. I got all the funding for it. I finished up the project last month. I physically made a controller for every single character. It was super fun, really cool. I'm super proud of that accomplishment. But when I finished that project, I started putting all those new designs onto my Etsy store, and Nintendo didn't like that. So they sent me a cease and desist, which was it's more frustrating and disheartening than anything, because on the one hand, I'm very well aware that what I'm doing like is technically illegal for copyright and trademark.
Do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, yes, I understand that what I'm doing is technically legal. It's technically copyright, but it's also, I'm not like a factory. Like I'm one person making these in my garage workshop one by one. Like I'm not mass producing them. So, and the biggest thing is, yes, I am far from the only one doing it. And I'm not even doing it to the level that some people are doing it. Like I'm not just taking a picture of Mario and printing him on a controller. I'm like trying to artistically design it. So I don't like to call out people, but I'm going to call out people. So I'm sure you guys have heard of the company Controller Chaos, at least in the States. They're a pretty large customizing company, controllerchaos.com. And they have pro controllers with Mario and Luigi on them, like just pictures of Mario and Luigi. They have controllers with Zelda characters, Splatoon imagery, ARMS imagery, all the big Nintendo ones. There's a Kirby one.
And they're not like officially licensed.
As far as I can find on their website, I do not see anywhere that it says officially licensed. I'm pretty sure they're not.
They just like grabbing PNGs and like just putting them on there.
Trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know why they're coming after me as opposed to people like that. I'm not the only Etsy seller. I'm not the only custom controller maker. So I feel like it was a bit personal, and I don't know why.
The good news is that you've been working past it by creating designs that are just so.
Yeah. So I'm trying to, I don't want to say like I'm trying to get around copyright, but I'm trying to do like copyright free stuff. Like I could still have it be Mario without having Mario's M on it. The only really like Mario part of my Mario controller was that it had the M, which I'm still to this day not sure that that's technically copyright because it's just a letter in a specific style. I don't know if they own that whole font and any fonts that might look like it. So I'm just going to steer clear of the M. But so I changed it to look like Mario's overalls, which is still iconically Mario now.
Yeah, you know
without
that's a Mario controller, don't you? It's like, it's perfect.
Right. You look at it, you know that it's Mario without having any Nintendo imagery on it.
Yeah.
So I've done that with a lot of my designs. A lot of my old designs from the project that I did already didn't include imagery because I was trying to be pretty artistic with them and make them represent the character. I mean, there's characters that they don't really have anything iconic about them besides like the shape or the colors of their outfit. So there was already a whole bunch that I don't really have to redesign. And so Nintendo's lawyer sent me a whole long cease and desist with pretty much like 50 or 60 of my Etsy listings, and like, take these down. And so I took them all down and we had a decent conversation. I know everybody talks poorly about like Nintendo's ninja lawyers coming out and doing all this stuff and shutting people down. And I'm disheartened, obviously. I'm frustrated, but she was pretty nice, honestly. Like they could just take me to court, I guess. But I wrote back and I was like, all right, hey, I took all these down. Let me know if there's anything else you need from me. I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I was never trying to infringe or like everything I did. I'm not making like raunchy, like disgusting Nintendo gross fan art. Like I've always kept it very Nintendo, very on brand. My philosophy when I design things is I want them to look as official as possible without being official.
So sort of almost the problem. It's a good thing, but almost a bad thing for you.
And I think that might be where the problem is.
Right.
Is
it's
like,
less so
you're
like,
going to confuse people.
Yeah, I think when you were saying earlier, I think it's personal. I was thinking to myself, I think it's more that they look so good. They don't want people thinking those are our controllers. Not because they're bad, but because that's just a company thing.
It's
like
confusion.
you don't want, you don't want someone going, this Nintendo controller broke, and then calling Nintendo about this controller they didn't buy from Nintendo, which is totally makes sense from a company perspective. But like that's almost a compliment to you, less than like I think it's less of like like from where I'm sitting, it's less of like a we don't like you, and more of a your designs are so good that we can't have them.
Too good, yeah.
But then it comes back to something we talked about, and I have alluded to, and I don't think I said it by name. And like literally the second or third episode, we were talking about Nintendo's relationship with people with regard to emulating. And I was talking about just how Nintendo and their fans trying to preserve things and create things and stuff, they have trouble creating a symbiotic relationship. And I brought up Alex with regard to this because it's true. It's like they have this guy who's making amazing controllers. They look good. People want it. People are paying for it. So people are giving Alex their money, and Nintendo's like, A, we want that money. B, we don't want that liability issue or whatever. So why not just bring Alex on board? He wanted to be on board before, and he's telling you, and I think that's unfortunate. It is what it is, but it's unfortunate.
And the interesting part of it is when I make a sale, so does Nintendo. Because it's not like I'm manufacturing these controllers in my garage, right?
That's true too.
It's still a Nintendo Pro controller. I just painted it. So if I just stopped tomorrow, like, not that I'm making millions of controllers or millions of dollars for them, but like their sales would decrease because I'm selling controllers to people that already have 1 or 2 Pro controllers and they're buying a 3rd, 4th, 5th simply because they look different. Yeah,
it's not like the Joy-Con shells. They can't buy the shells for the controller. They have to buy the entire controller.
Right. So, I mean, there's that whole thing, but I do, that's how I try to look at it, is like, they don't hate me. They just don't want the consumer to be confused. I don't know if that's true, but it does make me feel better when I look at it that way.
I don't know. If it makes you feel better, that's how it looks to me.
Yeah.
Okay. It does make me feel better.
As well, they're failing to cater to those kind of fans who want those kind of controllers. They want that unique design. That's like a gap in the market that they haven't really thought about before. So it seems bizarre that they're suppressing someone who's thought about this and is doing it so well.
even the pro controllers we have got have been pretty disappointed, man. Like we've got the Xenoblade one that was kind of cool. We got the Splatoon one, and then they were just like, "Yeah, we're done." Like I've got the Super Smash Brothers one. The Super Smash Brothers one is bad. I'm like,
Rubbish, isn't it?
I got it because I love Super Smash Brothers, but it's just white with the logo, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how many people and processes did this go through to manufacture?
Yeah.
Like, and then you look at the relationship that a company like Sega has with their fans, where instead of stopping fan games, they contact them and they say, "Hey, how about you've done so much work here. How about we look at the love you've got and the reverence you've got?" And these people are teaching themselves coding and game development because they love these games. The Sonic fan community is insane how much like work they put in. So Sega have gone and they've looked at how lucky they are to have these people on their side, whereas Nintendo just seems to be so actively working against it. Whereas Sega have got like Tyson Hess doing the Sonic movie redesigns and stuff. You look at Sonic Mania and the success that's had. Like Nintendo doesn't need that. They're still at the top of their game. But it doesn't mean they shouldn't cater to those people, and it doesn't mean they shouldn't work with the community.
Yeah.
They can have a decent relationship that only builds that player base up. And it just seems like such a waste of such a huge and loving community, because we're all here because we love Nintendo. So why does it feel sometimes like they hate some of us like that? It's sad to see.
Well,
not me
like,
specifically.
A lot like Disney. A lot like, I know that's a rhetorical question, but a lot like Disney, like they don't want to water down their brand, but that they're also in doing that refusing to enrich it by making it more of a melting pot, but that does water down the pureness of the brand.
I get it.
So no, it's unfortunate the way it worked out.
Like
the way it works out.
Obviously, like they just want complete creative control. That's how they work. That's how they make good products, and it's why they're the company they are. But there's a bit of leeway there, man. I'm sure.
Well, so it's interesting because the Pokemon Company, obviously, and Nintendo are like one and the same almost. But the Pokemon Company, I feel like recently has gotten very experimental in regards to art and products that are coming out. Pokemon keeps putting out like I keep finding random brands that now have Nintendo or Pokemon licensing. The artist Bear Walker just did the skateboards, which came out of left field over the last year. But Nintendo's not doing that. Nintendo's only working with major brands like Levi's and Lego and like all these massive, massive brands where for some reason they're letting the Pokemon brand get a little bit more experimental. And I'm not really sure why that is. I'm hoping that like they see the success that Pokemon is having on that venue or in that avenue and like letting the Nintendo characters go the same way. Like let Mario get a little bit experimental and see what happens.
Because when they do branch out with the brands, like for example, I bought Black Milk clothing. I was wearing it on a previous episode, Animal Crossing dress. Like they're very successful, those launches. The Pokemon Black Milk sold out like that. It's escaping my Uniqlo does amazing Nintendo stuff, and they sell out so fast. And I think as they see the success of those things, and the Uniqlo ones in particular are brought their t-shirt designs. For people that don't know, Uniqlo sells like jeans and tees and stuff. They have these amazing tees, and they do bring in outside artists, and they have submissions for those t-shirts. They do. So if it's so successful and people love those designs so much and like pay so much money after they sell out for them, why not? But I don't know. They're doing it. They are doing it on a very small scale, and it's successful, and they're just not rolling it out and being like generous about it. They're being very stingy about it.
I think we're seeing a little bit of loosening of the IP. You know, look at the partnerships with Ubisoft, and we look at kind of, like you said, the Lego stuff, the Levi's stuff, and even like the Puma shoes. We're starting to see Nintendo capitalize on the Mario brand in a way that they should. I think the difference with Pokemon is Pokemon is a media franchise that has games, whereas Mario is a game first. Like, you know,
fair.
Pokemon is just a media juggernaut. It is the single biggest media franchise in the world above anything. So I think the games are secondary to them. So that's why they're super happy to be like, yeah, make a skateboard, make these figures, get the Funkos out, like, and they'll do anything. Whereas, Mario is just a little bit more stringent about the way that IP is perceived and who can play with it.
Well, I guess they got rabbits, haven't they? And then they got the theme park coming out, and then maybe there's like a room for a movie. A movie's
I
in
think we're
development.
getting there.
Hopefully, they'll kind of loosen their grip a little bit on it, and maybe let people experiment.
It's
It's just more money. I don't understand why
they
so lose.
I think bottom line is they're traumatized after the first Mario movie.
That honestly, I think
abomination.
that set back the Mario IP by probably a decade. I think
They're
you're
so
100%
traumatized by that. They're like, we're never letting anyone touch Mario ever again.
Like Miyamoto has spoken so much about how much damage it did to like his perception of the Mario brand and how they moved away from stuff. It is really sad that ruined these things for us.
Well, I'm curious if a lot of it has to do with the changeover to Doug from Reggie, because as soon as Reggie left, things changed a lot, I feel like, for the Mario IP. Like we didn't see anything until literally Doug took over, and then they're announcing all of these third-party partnerships. And I don't know if that's just coincidental timing because the 35th anniversary was coming up, or it could be Doug having a new spin. Hey, Mario sells just like Mickey Mouse will. Let's see what we can do with them.
I think some of it, like the Lego one, they said they'd been trying to nail something down for about 5 years. So I think maybe some wheels were in motion, but you're probably right that it does look like some new blood or some sort of injection of energy has come in, because there's definitely been a kind of change of not opinion, but you know what I mean, change of attitude towards things. It's very clear.
Absolutely.
If you can make more money, why say no?
Exactly.
Speaking about making more money, let's move on to Pokemon Go and Pokemon Home connectivity. So the long-awaited update letting Pokemon Go players connect with Pokemon Home has finally been made available. It launched on November the 11th to trainers above level 40, but now it's been rolled out to everyone. But the thing that's been gaining the most attention is that the connectivity has transfer limits that you can kind of pay to get around. So the fact that Pokemon Company are trying to squeeze more money out of players is quite concerning, right?
Yeah, man, it's sad. It's really sad.
Excuse me, I'm over here.
No, you 100%. You can be up on your high horse because you're right as always. It's me that's been specifically annoyed this week, and you pointed out to me like, why is this the straw that broke your back here?
Not you in particular, by the way, the fans.
Yeah, I think I've been pretty vocal about my concerns about Pokemon from the last few years, honestly. Like my review of Sword and Shield last year was heavily critical. But this is specifically in terms of monetization. So yeah, now if you catch a Pokemon in Pokemon Go, finally you can send it to Home and you can send that to Sword and Shield. So instead of having to circumvent that by sending to Let's Go and then sending to Home, and even then you can only send the first 151, now theoretically any Pokemon you have in Sword and Shield can be sent from Go. There's a couple of caveats in that, yes, you have to already have it. So a legendary that you've caught in Pokemon Go, if you don't have it in Sword and Shield, you can't send it over.
I didn't know that. That's
I didn't know that either.
Which is like,
Weird.
come on, man. It's a Pokemon
It feels
game.
worthless at that point.
Exactly.
You know what? I will say that does make sense in terms of like Pokemon Go it's harder to find some Pokemon in some respects, but it's easier to find some Pokemon in some respects, especially when it comes to shinies. Yeah, but depending on where you live, like they might be really accessible to you. And I'm saying it makes sense for Go because it's like not a traditional Pokemon game, maybe. But I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I'm not defending it.
In my brain, if they made these games and they made it so we can transfer them, that is up to them how available they make these Pokemon. It's not our problem if they then decide, oh, actually, in hindsight, we made that a little bit too easy for you. That's not my problem. You change it in the future, or you change how you make it available. But you gave us a Pokemon game where we could catch Pokemon, and now you're saying that we can't send it over. And it's frustrating, and especially the main issue for me is the transfer from Go to Home. Is you use a currency, and depending on the rarity of the Pokemon, whether it's specifically a legendary and also a shiny, and especially a shiny legendary, you can use a lot more of this renewable resource. And the only way to gain more of it is to either wait a week or to pay actual money. And it is a lot of money. It's comparable to like £10, $10 to speed this up. And the process, because I've got quite a few shiny legendaries on my Pokemon Go, because I've been playing since 2016, I've put a decent amount of money in Go already. I'm a big fan. I play it pretty much every day. Like, if I want to send the Pokemon I've got into Sword and Shield, it's going to take me over a year, I think. Maybe a little bit longer, or it's going to cost me hundreds of pounds. Like, this is not an okay system. I've caught these Pokemon. I've played a Pokemon game by their rules. I've gone on raids. I've done everything they've said. And now for them to throw this on our face, especially in a year where we've got a pandemic, people don't have a lot of money. They're still charging for event tickets for special Pokemon. And a lot of these as well, once you've paid for the event ticket for certain Pokemon, you still have to do challenges which require walking around. And they're doing this flat out all around the world. It's like, it just seems like a massive disregard for fans. And they did a little rollout a while ago if everyone gets a couple of free instances and stuff. But a lot of that has been receded, and a lot of the events and a lot of the challenges now still absolutely demand going out into the into the wild. And it's just kind of real stupid and real silly to me. Like, you can make money if you want to. Obviously, it's a free game. They have to have a business model, and they are still making a lot of money. I think I said to you, Anna, earlier, like, this is Pokemon's most, like Pokemon Go specifically, is most profitable year ever. And they are currently at about 10 to maybe 15% of the player base they were in 2016, which is not good numbers. That's not a way to treat people. They're not looking for new players. They're looking
milking
to squeeze
them.
existing players. And that's not cool. That's not a fun way of doing it. You know, this is Nintendo by proxy of Pokemon, and they are known for bringing out quality products, regular products. And if they want to make more money, they bring out a new good game. They don't take things that they said they were going to give us or roll things back and then charge for them. This is scummy monetization, and it's, you know, especially like I said, it's a hard year. People can't get outside. Some people are shielding, especially like, you know, the idea of Pokemon fans who want to catch special Pokemon on Community Day or something and literally can't get out to them. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And the fact that they're willing to just let that lie so they get money out of people, it shows their attitude at the moment towards Pokemon fans. And it's very emblematic.
Yeah, the attitude towards Pokemon fans is something I've talked about a lot. That drives me nuts.
They're
Especially
just,
you're echoing.
Money. They're just money.
You're saying a lot of it's funny because Pokemon Go is so different, and yet like a lot of the things you're saying sound like the complaints about Sword and Shield too, that makes so much sense. It's what was it, one of them in particular that you said, you said you can't why can't I transfer this one? You were like, why is it this one in particular that I can't transfer? And I'm thinking, I know that's a different circumstance because we're talking about there is no other Pokemon game that is so restrictive that if you don't have it in the game, you can't trade it over. But it's a lot of the frustrations are being echoed in this, and it shows that they're not listening.
Yeah.
Like, people in the comments are like, don't worry, stop complaining, they'll listen and they'll be good. And I'm like, the reason I'm all doomsday about Pokemon all the time is partially this. It's like they're not going to listen. They're going to listen because to what people pay. They're going to listen to the cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. That's what they're listening to.
100%.
That's all they're listening to. So, you know, what are you going to expect if you're going to pay for the DLC and then you pay for the other DLC? Oh, and you bought Sword and Shield, by the way. And you know, come on, what are you going to expect?
Other things to remember as well is they are still having Pokemon eggs so obviously you can still walk around with an incubator with an egg in it, and you get a randomized Pokemon in there, and they are locking certain Pokemon and shinies behind these, and people generally, it's very restricted how many incubators you have, but you can pay for more. Or you can pay for in-game currency, which you can earn, but it's very slow, or you can pay to buy the currency. And
they're locking stuff inside of eggs that you have to basically pay for.
They've never revealed the odds of these eggs, of the Pokemon, of the shinies, and these are loot boxes in all but name. That's literally what these are.
They're loot boxes.
100%. They are. They're little loot eggs, and they're not disclosing any of this information, which technically, legally, they should be now. And it just goes to show to me like a kind of contempt of fans. They have changed a couple of things. They have rolled back a couple of things due to the fan feedback, but generally it's been, I can't remember what it was. I'm trying to scroll through Joe Merrick's timeline because he's the best.
Yeah.
Obviously, Joe Merrick, who is the creator of Cerebi.net, is the best person to go for Pokemon news, and he's also very fair and through the middle. He doesn't take sides. He doesn't report on rumors or anything like that, and much as he'll call people out, I think he kind of tells exactly how it is. And he's spoken deeply about his distaste for the monetization of Pokemon Go recently. But he was talking the other day about some things have been rolled back in regards to fan complaints. So I think there's hope, but I don't think they're doing it out of respect for fans. I think they're doing it out of fear of outrage, which is not the way you should ever be doing anything. If you only did it because you got told off, you always wanted to do it. You know,
right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's better to ask for forgiveness, isn't it, than permission? So I think they're kind of going down that kind of route. And I thought, at least like Pokemon Home's free, but I read that there's also a subscription model for that. So if you want to store more than 30 Pokemon, you can pay up to like $16 for 12 months and things like that, which is crazy. So you're just constantly paying for different services, new things.
Yeah.
Home, but
it's crazy. I still have a couple Pokemon that are just stuck in Home, because I transferred them from bank, but I didn't realize that even after the DLC, they still can't be brought into Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
So they're just there, and I just pay for it now, and they're just taking my money, and I still refuse to buy the DLCs. So at least I'm saving money there.
But you'll be able to transfer them if you keep your home subscription rolling into the next Pokemon games, which will also be $60, and then the DLC for them might also have your favorites in, which will be $30. Like,
right? People are like, "Well, would you rather have a third game?" And I'm like, "Get this. What if we didn't even have two games?"
Yeah.
I said this in an earlier podcast, but I can't say it enough. Like, get this. That's not even the argument we're talking about right now. But if you want to make those hypotheticals, like, what if they didn't even scam you for the Sword and Shield and whatever DLC or third game? Like, what if they just gave you a game?
Yep. And they didn't sell $120 double packs to fans, knowing that fans buy both of these games to transfer a couple of Pokemon.
I would take DLC too. I'm fine with DLC, but I want the game to be complete. Just give me a game. Give me a full Pokemon game. That's all I want. That's all I want. That's all Mama wants. That's all Mama gets, usually.
And like I've said, it's just because I love Pokemon so much, man. I'm still playing Sword and Shield, well, just Sword, really constantly. Like, the Dynamax adventures are really good. They're really good concepts. Like, I love Pokemon as a franchise. I love so many Pokemon designs. Like, I'm not doing this because I hate Pokemon and I want it to go away. I want it to be good. I want more people to enjoy it and more people to come on board. And it doesn't seem like that's what Pokemon wants. It seems like they want the existing fans to pay more money. So that's frustrating.
And Sword and Shield was released a year ago today.
Yeah.
So how do you think that those games are going to go down in history? Are they going to be viewed like fairly, or is it going to be this was a major turning point for the franchise when they just started squeezing the fans?
I think they are super lackluster for what they are. For being the first home Pokemon title, I think they really missed the ball. I personally prefer Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee better. I think it was,
which is technically the first, by the way.
It's true. I consider it the first. Most people don't. But yeah, I think those really hit a home run. They were a true Nintendo experience. They completely revolutionized what it meant to play a Pokemon console game at home, or a Pokemon franchise game at home. And they completely changed how you played it. It wasn't just like, oh, now you can play it on your TV. It was you could play it in a completely new way. And there are so many things in that game that they didn't even bring over to Sword and Shield that I just feel like really deserve to be like standard in the franchise from now on.
Having your Pokemon follow you around. Why do you have to pay for DLC to have that only? And that's only in that specific area, right? And just it's not all over the game. I want Snorlax. I want to hug my Snorlax. You know, in Pokemon Let's Go, when you're riding your Snorlax,
oh my god,
you just hug his tummy.
It's amazing.
I want to hug a Snorlax tummy around the wild area, but I don't want there to be ugly copy pasted assets everywhere.
Yeah, and you can ride your Pokemon around, not this like ugly bike that also was a boat.
Right.
God.
Terrible design idea.
And
For
then
me,
you can zip every minute or so on the bike.
God,
what is that?
For me, the Let's Go experience was the most authentic Pokemon going experience that I think you can get. It made like your Pokemon followed your trainer, which is how you always imagine your own Pokemon adventure would be. You're throwing the Pokeballs to catch the Pokemon. The battling obviously isn't there, but for me, that was never the fun part. I was never huge into battling. I know there's a whole competitive scene, but that just wasn't mine. Like I like collecting Pokemon, I like catching the Pokemon, and I like exploring the story and the world. So it just felt so authentic to me, that game. And Sword and Shield just felt like a downgrade. And I know I'm in the very large minority. Like everybody contests that opinion.
For those who do like battling, Sword and Shield is like. Yeah. The battling in Sword and Shield looks amazing, sounds amazing, feels amazing. It's accessible because it tells you. I mean, there's so much about the battling in Sword and Shield. I went back to Sword and Shield Battle Tower recently just to play with my my competitive team because more of them can be brought over now. More of them. And they're not even properly EV trained. It's going to be heck to actually do that. Anyway, it's fun. But like you said, Alex, it lacks like the things that we all wanted when we were little kids going, oh my gosh, like that, maybe not little kids. I was a little kid. I'm aging myself a little bit. I grew up on Pokemon, but I remember being little and thinking like, what if there was a Pokemon game I could play on my TV and I could throw the Pokeballs and run around in the battles 3D or something. Like, I don't know. I always pictured it like this. So, they know what we want, but I think it comes down to what we're going to pay for. Like, how much can they get out of us?
I mean, like, the Pokemon Sword and Shield are not as good as the Pokemon GameCube games. And they were really stripped back experiences. You could only have certain Pokemon. You could only transfer one way and stuff. But, like, Pokemon Colosseum and Gale of Darkness, like... they had a story. They had actual story in them. They had designs. They had new things that are actually cool. The Pokemon Sword and Shield story is a straight line from the bottom of the map to the top, and nothing really happens along the way. Or stuff that does happen happens off screen, and then they're just like, that thing just happened. You've just walked into the room, and you have to battle this guy now. And it happens so much. Or even some of the gym challenges, that the one with Marnie's brother, is it the rock singer, where the gym challenge is to walk from the left.
I remember. I was like,
to the right.
I was like, literally, I remember going through that, and I said out loud, I was like, "This is it." I got there. I was like, "I'm here. That's it."
Yeah, and the design of that town is really cool as well, with all the dark streets and the punk aesthetic.
And it's like,
and you just walk from left to right. That's.
I was so disappointed by that area. It felt so incomplete. It felt so incomplete.
I agree. I think Pokemon Let's Go, I don't prefer it because I think it's got a lot of problems, but I think it's a more polished product. And I think it's more of a proper vision of what Pokemon should be. Whereas Sword and Shield feel like 30% had to be hacked off because they had to get the game out. And we can talk till the cows come home about the Pokemon production schedule and how they have to have the cards, the anime, the movie, the merchandise ready every winter. So I think Pokemon is kind of a product of its own cycle when it comes to why these games feel rushed. And unfortunately, they can't do the Zelda. They can't do the Zelda thing of being like, we're going to take 6 years, and we'll all buy it. Much as I think they should, and I think we would all buy it again in a few years. They make too much money, and they'd have to knowingly say to investors, next year is going to be a low year. And that's not how business works. That's not how capitalism works. So we're never going to see Pokemon concede that, which I think is what makes me sad.
Yes. The games are going to take more and more effort to make. And it's going to take more and more time to make games, and unfortunately, although they're going to get into a groove with it and be able to carry over animations that they made and make new ones with less time, and use models, and it'll take less time because although they did bring a lot of 3DS stuff over, they did make a lot of new stuff for Sword and Shield. Not nearly enough. I mean, I've talked about the animations in particular a lot. There's a lot of stuff like that. And they can bring assets over. And so it'll take less work in that regard. But then, okay, Switch Pro comes out. And then the next thing comes out. And what is there a new handheld coming out? And they're going to keep having to create new assets for everything. And it's going to take more time because they're going to need to be better looking and competitive. They need to stay competitive at the end of the day, even though they're Pokemon.
And like Pokemon's never going to be a like Switch Pro exclusive or something either. It has to be scalable. They know it probably sells most as a handheld game for kids, so it needs to be easily recognizable. It needs to be bright colors, flashing images, and so that is their concern because it's just a product to sell. So like, but we're getting like the Bandai Namco new Pokemon Snap and stuff like that. And stuff like that is a really cool example of what maybe could happen if we got a smaller game. But honestly, I don't think Pokemon should have ever left sprites. I think what's the game that's coming to Switch next year? And it's an RPG and it's been sprite based for years. But now weirdly we're getting 3D models. It's got a little penguin. It's not Danganronpa. It's something similar to that. Anyway, something like that, or like Octopath Traveler. Like I just love to just see them just be like, hey, we just do sprites. Like that's what we do, but if we keep it as sprites, we can we can make a bigger world and this kind of moody atmosphere, and you can explore. Whereas instead, we've just got models in a straight line.
Yeah, definitely keep it simple. I feel like they rushed the whole rush production schedule. I think like they're cheapening the product because I didn't play a Pokemon game. I played Pokemon Red when it first came out, and I hadn't played a Pokemon game, as I've said before, since Sword and Shield. I just kind of got caught up in the hype, wanted to play it, and I thought, this is going to be incredible. What an incredible experience. The trailers got me really excited, the reviews, and when I played it, I was really disappointed at what it was. And I don't feel like, pardon the pun, I don't feel like it evolved since Pokemon Red. It just kind of kept it the same. And yeah, I didn't feel like it was a new experience. And I played 20 hours of it, and I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. I know exactly what I'm going to get for the however many hours the more I play it. Yeah. So I just kind of gave up, just kind of left it where it was because I knew I just had to go through more gyms, had to battle more Pokemon, and that was it. And I didn't really want to waste my time.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how many of you have played Nexomon. That's been out for a few months now, but it's not sprite based, but it's like hand drawn animation, and it's like the original Pokemon games, just like hand drawn now. And it's a gorgeous game. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It makes fun of Pokemon in like small ways that, like, if you're a Pokemon fan, you'd notice. And it's a more grown up version without it being like not for kids. It just feels like a mature Pokemon, and Pokemon could absolutely go back to a hand drawn animation or a sprite form. And I think it would still be incredibly successful.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, I know they're like, oh, we'd have to get this many people and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you are the biggest media franchise in the world. And I don't think there's more drawings of anything than Pokemon or people that do these things. Like, do you remember the guy that did these real life Pokemon ideas, and he got hired to do the Detective Pikachu movie? That he got found on Tumblr from doing these incredible drawings. Like, do that, man. You've got this fan community that love doing this. Like, I'm sure they could speak to fans. You look at James Turner as a perfect example of, kind of someone English going over, and he did it in his own time. He was just a fan, and now he was the art director on Sword and Shield. You know, he now lives in Japan. He's from England. He cut his teeth on, I think, specifically Colosseum and Gale of Darkness, because I think they were partly developed in the UK, but I can't be called on that 100%. But James Turner specifically, who was one of the leads on that, he designed the Shadow Pokemon. He designed a lot of the characters in those games. He then moved to Game Freak and now works specifically with them. And he was the art director on Sword and Shield.
Oh, wow.
These things can happen, and they really can call upon this huge love for the series. Like, yeah.
And like, not that they don't have the money, but like you hire fans and they're going to work for nothing. It's just like an amazing experience
Yeah.
to like, I mean, obviously pay them living wages. They're very talented artists and content creators and creators, but like it's a dream come true for any fan to see their work
Right.
become an
Exactly.
official piece. Like it
Yeah.
would, oh man, yeah. The experience alone, being able to say you did it, put it on your resume that you worked for the Pokemon company, like most people would take a low paid internship doing that.
Yeah, like
I would.
You don't have to do the hit record thing with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, where he's like, "Oh, write a line or send in some VO of what you'd think," and then at the bottom it's like, "We have the right to use this and we'll use this and things." And then loads of people are like, "I think I've got a VO line in a video game and I haven't been paid." Like, it's like everyone on Beyond Good and Evil 2, like they're not really paying them. It's all kind of fan stuff, but like,
Wow.
that's an
not
aside.
know that.
But like, you know, Pokemon does have basically infinite money. Like, if you, I know the Pokemon Company and Game Freak are separate entities, and obviously they don't all funnel into each other, but there is something there you can do. I'm sure Game Freak should never be in a position where they can't spend that much money.
Right.
Talking about another big franchise, or it was Pikmin. So Pikmin 3 Deluxe, that's had a disappointing couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So in the UK, it debuted at number 7 in the physical charts. And this week, it's dropped out of that top 10 altogether, limping to number 27. And it also in its opening week, squeezed into the top 10 of the US chart. And things looked promising before release. There was lots of buzz, great reviews coming out. So what went wrong?
That's a really good question. I mean, because I have all of you played it, Alex, Nathan.
Yep.
Alex.
No. So okay. So I have a question. Before, because I don't know, I don't like review games or anything. So when you get review copies of games, do you also buy your own copies just to like increase the numbers or like help with sales?
I don't do it
just
to
out of
help with
curiosity.
sales.
I don't have that much money.
I don't, but I will if I want a physical, and I will want a physical Pikmin, but I haven't bought it yet. I did do that with Animal Crossing.
Okay. That was just out of my own curiosity. No, I have not played Pikmin 3. My reasoning is it's expensive. I already own it on the Wii U, and I'm not really a fan of Pikmin. So
Okay, well,
Those were very good reasons.
fair enough. We talked about it a little bit, but I mean, a little off topic from the question, but it's just an amazing game. On topic with the question, for people who haven't tried it, when you see what it offers, like when I stream it, people go, "Oh my god, that actually looks really cool," because it's a hard strategy game. Like to do really well at Pikmin 3 in particular, like, and Deluxe offers so many challenges. It's a hard strategy game, but it's also super accessible and fun and cute for kids. So my answer would be, I just think it's just the brand isn't strong. It's not like Mario or Pokemon or something where it's on your backpack and it's on your pencil case and stuff for the kids, and mom knows what it is, and mom knows, oh, that's a Pikachu, and who the heck knows who Olimar is, right? Like, honestly, I didn't know what Pikmin was until Olimar was in Smash. Honestly, I didn't. So I probably heard about it, but I didn't know, like, I was like, oh, Olimar's from that Pikmin game. Like, I didn't know anything about it. And then I learned a little more because I had friends over the years that wanted me to play it. And then when Pikmin 3 came out, I was like, well, I guess this is my chance. And I loved it. Pikmin 3 Deluxe offers a lot more. So people who played Pikmin 3 and loved it should play Deluxe. But I think that's also part of the problem, is a lot of people who are fans played 3 and thought, I've played it. It was a pretty short story, short and sweet. Maybe they played the DLC too. Maybe the DLC doesn't seem worth it to them, and they don't really see the merit in buying it again on their Switch. So I think those things combined, the lack of strength in the brand and the fact that people who already really wanted it, maybe they felt like they've already gotten the experience. I certainly didn't feel that way.
No, I think you're right. It's a niche genre and it's a niche Nintendo IP. So like most of us who enjoy Pikmin are the Pokemon fans that also maybe bought a Wii U. Like the Nintendo fans, sorry, like we're the ones that are already so in there that like we did buy Pikmin 3 because those games are cool. So double dipping for so much money. Like, I think a lot of Nintendo fans are gonna look at that and be like, I just can't afford that for a game I own. That almost probably wasn't that expensive when it came out on the Wii U, and I think was even in the Wii U Selects line as well. Like, I think what would have worked better was Pikmin 4, and then we got Pikmin 3 as a $20 select line building up to it. And I wish they were doing this with a lot of these ports. I wish they were coming over as 20, 30 pounds, whatever. And they were saying like, hey, we already made this. It needed a bit of a spit shine, but, we're not paying an entire development team. Like, I'd love to know the margins of how much money they made from that port of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because it definitely had some extra content. They had to pay to create the battle mode and a couple of extra characters, but say 90% of that game was done, and then it nearly doubled the sales of the original. Like, it sold more than the Wii U install base. Like, it's insane.
Craziness,
and like Pikmin 3 as well, I think it's just a very hard way to sell it. If it was Mario and Mario's minis, like remember the Donkey Kong game where you threw the little tiny Marios, like if it's something like that, you could maybe sell it. You look at Mario and Rabbids, and they've managed to sell a genre to people because it's Mario. But Pikmin, you have to explain so much, and you have to explain it to people who maybe aren't fans. And then it's the third one, and then you have to explain the difference. And like even in Smash, I remember looking at characters from Fire Emblem and being like, they look cool. I want to know what their game is. And I look at Olimar and I'm like, what's that? Like he's super cute and he's pudgy, and I love Pikmin, but
he's just a family man. He just wants to get home to his wife and kids.
He looks like a potato in a jar. I don't think he's a particularly strong character design in terms of everything that Nintendo are capable of. And much as like again, the Pikmin is super cute, but I don't look at Olimar and Brittany as like examples of strong Nintendo branding or IP. Whereas the characters like Martha and Roy made me want to get into Fire Emblem because they look sick, man. They're so cool. And I know not everything can be cool, but I just think there's so many barriers to selling that product to people.
Yeah, well, I think. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you if you would make a Pikmin controller, or if you would feel like it wouldn't sell.
I did make one because I made one for every character in Smash Brothers. So I do have an Olimar Pikmin controller. And I did sell a few before they told me to take them down. So I know that the Pikmin fans are out there. But I will say, because I'm not a fan of the franchise, it was a struggle. I was like, I do not know what to do with this controller. So I kind of made it look like Olimar's spacesuit, like just like the chest area. And then I had some Pikmin walking around on it. And it's a pretty cute design. But yeah, it was a struggle. I was like, I literally know so little bit about Pikmin.
Creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think part of the issue with Pikmin is that I don't know that they really sell it well, like what it even is. Like, I feel like you watch the trailers and it's just Olimar and Pikmin and all the other main characters like walking around, and you're like, what even is this game? Like, you're on this planet, right? And they're completing tasks for you, but is that translated very well over a trailer? Like, I don't feel like people get a sense of what the gameplay even is. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. For me, I'm like, this doesn't look exciting to the average consumer. It doesn't look exciting to me. And I have a pretty good idea of what it is.
Yeah.
But to the average consumer watching a trailer or a commercial on TV, they're gonna be like, okay, well, I don't know. And the Pikmin, like, they're not as cute as other Nintendo characters. Like, they're cute in their own right, I guess. But for me, I don't know. One of them is a rock with eyes. The rest of them...
Hard disagree. Hard disagree. Rock Pikmin is bae. Rock Pikmin is life. Oh my god, they're so cute. I can't. I want to hug all of them.
I feel like they made the right choice releasing a demo for it, because I feel like that a lot of people would have kind of discovered it through the eShop. But I played the demo. I never played a Pikmin game before. I played the demo, really enjoyed it. Thought it was really, really fun. But it didn't feel I feel like the timing works against it, where it didn't feel like an essential purchase. Where we know Hyrule Warriors is coming out, in a couple of weeks. The Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5 coming out. I bought an Xbox Series X. So I was like, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to have loads of games to play. I don't need another Nintendo game to play.
I think you said it best. It's not an essential purchase right now. It's really worth it. I promise you, if you're a fan. Personally, I reviewed it. I love it. I'm going to buy a physical copy for myself, even though I have a review copy, just to have a physical on my shelf. I love it that much, but it's not essential. You're right.
Maybe if they made it a limited release, then it would have sold like hotcakes. Who knows?
Oh,
It's so
don't start with
cute.
this.
Although
Don't
I
start with
will
this.
say, you know what? I'm saying this from a place of privilege. Although we are on the Switch Player magazine, you know, we write for it and everything. There could be a couple of people who are maybe they don't have a Switch, and therefore maybe they can't get it on the Switch, and it's not. I don't know, but then none of this would be relevant. So. They
There's
should just play it
70
on the Wii
million
U and
Switches
get
out
a
there.
Switch. I was like, that's I was like, as I was saying it, I was like, wait a second. Then why are they even listening to us?
No, you look at the
I always
sales
try to
numbers.
play the devil's advocate. So I'm always
Yeah.
trying to pop in there
Like-
with it. But what if someone thinks this?
Even the lesser ones, like you look at the sales numbers of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which completely outsold the Wii U version.
Right.
And like it's definitely capable for these games to have a massive second wind. But you're 100% right. Pikmin came out in a really busy couple of weeks, and not everyone who's buying an Xbox Series X or PS5 is a Pikmin fan who maybe just couldn't find the money after buying Miles Morales or something. But it definitely put it into a really, really heavy month, especially with Hyrule Warriors right after it, which is a much more easily explained and
Yeah.
essential purchase. You go, it's a Zelda game, but it's a fighting, it's a Musa game. And I look at the trailer, I know what it is, I know what I'm going to be doing for
Right.
100 hours. And Pikmin, I completely agree with Paul's review in Switch Player. I think it's the best Pikmin game made better. I think it's absolutely incredible. I loved it on the Wii U, and I think it's even better now. And I do want everyone to play it, but it's up to Nintendo to put it in a slot where it works. Like, this is a January game. This is a January or February game. This is not a November game. And
yes.
obviously, we have heard that it would have been, but schedules got moved around, and we're probably going to be looking at the March releases as what would have been November. Like, there was actually an interview with Capcom the other day, and they spoke about how Monster Hunter Rise was pretty much meant to be a holiday game. Like, I think that may have meant to have been our December big release. So obviously kind of things had to plug gaps, and they have to have like a month on month. But I think Pikmin once again got the short end of the stick. You know, you look at Pikmin on the GameCube, and then it came out on the Wii U, and poor Pikmin just needs a break, man. I hope Pikmin 3, when they eventually do a Switch Selects, which they will because they always do, and they make money off it, I'm hoping there's a Pikmin 3 Deluxe Select again, and people finally give this game a chance for 30 quid, because it's not worth the amount of money it shot. I'm annoyed at myself. I spent so much money on a game I already owned, but I love it and I wanted to support them. But frankly, I don't think it's worth it, even though I love this game. So I'm just hoping that in a couple of years' time, enough people pick it up. But I think the sales numbers today are going to send a message to Nintendo, and I'm worried about what that means for Pikmin 4.
Hopefully we'll find an audience. But what I found interesting was that this seems to be only in the West, because in Japan, it was top of the charts, sold 171,000 copies in its opening week. So it seems like it was really popular over there. And that the Nintendo shared something, quite an interesting tidbit. They said during their recent financial results, they said that Pikmin 3 Deluxe was chosen by a lot of people as their next game after they bought Animal Crossing. So they went straight from that over to Pikmin, and they found that was mainly women and families and like children that are buying, going from Animal Crossing to Pikmin. So maybe Nintendo do know what they're doing, but it just didn't. Strategy didn't work out in the West.
I think it's a very good game for a lot of these people. I know so many friends that have picked up a Switch Lite this year with Animal Crossing, and I would recommend Pikmin for them. But then it's up to Nintendo to get that message out there and to market it properly. They've obviously done a good job of that in Japan, but they just clearly can't crack that here, and also releasing it in a packed month. Like, it's just up to them to sell their IP. We can only review it and see how good it is, but Nintendo at the end of the day are the ones doing the adverts and getting that message across, and it's a shame they just can't seem to nail it for us in the West.
And as you said before, Nathan, before we recorded the podcast, they released a Nintendo Direct the week Pikmin 3 was out, and that just seemed like it got completely drowned out.
The hour that that the reviews of Pikmin 3 dropped, they dropped a surprise direct, literally like the same time as the embargo. How did no one check that? Like, people wanted to read the Pikmin 3 review, and then they're like, oh, Nintendo Direct, and here's the next thing. And that Direct didn't even mention Pikmin 3 out this week. Don't forget, demo available now. There wasn't even a single second dedicated to it. So, like, it's almost like Nintendo forgot about it before it was even out.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the
Yeah.
Age of Calamity demo was just like front and center. Everyone was going crazy about that. So many articles about that. Everyone tweeted about that, and just Pikmin 3 just got lost.
Yeah, man. It's a shame. We're gonna see Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity sell millions. We're gonna see it sell millions. And I'm sure it should. We've just seen like the Famitsu review, and obviously we've all played the demo and stuff, but like I really wanted Pikmin to do well, and it everything. Obviously, we're in this bubble of Nintendo fans, and we're all talking to Nintendo fans. So there'll be a couple of us like Pikmin 3 is so good, I'm so excited, and we probably all looked at each other like this is gonna sell loads. And obviously, it just hasn't gone past that sphere of devoted fans, which is such a shame, man.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes living in the bubble of like Nintendo fans, like you say, when you're
Yeah,
just like, this is definitely going to be amazing. This is.
But I feel like even within the bubble, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not a fan of Pikmin, but I feel like even within the bubble, it was definitely like not the most talked about game. Like even
And
among
it's a
Nintendo
hard-
fans,
It's a hard sell, even in the bubble.
right?
It's just a hard sell. I said it in my video review of Pikmin 3. I said it's the kind of game that's hard to get people to try.
Yeah.
Unless, and the good news about Pikmin 3 Deluxe is that the co-op is completely integrated. You can play all of it in co-op,
So
every
good.
single mode, the entire story, up, down, all around. And that's amazing because, well, it's great for families, because again, there's like hints, it's fine for kids to play. But then like, for me personally, I'm trying to get platinum medals and everything. And there's some levels that I literally feel like I can't beat without a friend because they're so hard. Like I need another human to help me divvy out all this work. It's so challenging and fun with the co-op. It adds, but the good news about the co-op is that it adds an opportunity to say, like, I think you might like Pikmin 3. Like I have a friend who probably wouldn't have bought it for Switch because he has Game Pass, he has all this stuff. He has Switch games, he likes to play Smash and Pokemon. Probably wouldn't have bought Pikmin 3. But when he saw me streaming it, he was like, oh my God. And I got him to try it. And like, oh my God, he's good. I need this. So, I think it'll
See, and it'll
help.
I did not know that it had co-op.
All through the whole game. You can play the entire story.
I did not
mode.
know that. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's definitely sold me a little bit on it because there's so few Switch games that have good co-op in them.
Yeah.
And for a family company that makes mostly family games, most of their hot titles do not have co-op. So knowing that Pikmin that you can play the whole game like that, yeah, that's a big selling point for me. Yeah, I might download the demo now.
It also feels like it was kind of made for co-op. Like it does feel like it was made for co-op because a lot of the game is you have 3 or 2 if you're playing some of the missions captains, and you're doing different things. Maybe one of them's across the other side of a bridge, or you have to throw them to a ledge and they do stuff on the other side of the map. Yeah. And so you're like, okay, I'm going to have them go here. And while they're auto walking there, I'm going to do this. But then if you're playing with another person, they can control that person. You'd be like, okay, you take all the yellow Pikmin and go over there to the electric fence. And I'm going to go over here and get this fruit. And it's so like fun to coordinate. And then they have the bingo battle to like where you can actually compete and steal each other's fruit and stuff. I've already raged at someone over bingo battle, so I am very competitive. So, yeah.
I've had a couple of friends pick it up specifically for the co-op because they've got kids at the age where they can play with them. And it's just a pretty good game as well, where like you can either split the tasks 50-50. If you're playing with a little one, you can be like, all right, well, you can have 10 Pikmin. I'll go and, I'll go and do what I need to do. I'm going to give you the ones that I don't mind dying. And you can maybe get this, but like
let them run around.
You dig around here.
Two of my friends are having an absolute blast playing it with their kids, and they keep sending me updates about like, oh, he's just done this and stuff. And like, it is a family game, and I don't think it's one of these ones that dumbs itself down for kids. I think it respects the player, and I think a lot of young kids could have a really good time figuring out these puzzles and finding things. It makes me sad. I really wish more people were discovering it this Christmas.
It'll probably be a slow burn for Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Like
so.
It'll just be a staple in the Switch market, just existing there now. I don't think it had a hot release. I think it was dead on arrival with the circumstances. But I think it'll be a slow burn. I think it'll come around. The numbers will slowly come up. By then, no one will care.
I think probably Mario and Rabbids is one of the most comparable kind of ones of like it that launched much better than this, but people spoke about it over time, and it keeps having, because it's Ubisoft, not Nintendo, it keeps having very deep sales as well, which really help. But like the fan reaction to that and kind of the way people talk about it has completely changed. Like I bought it when it came out, man, I love that game, but the amount of people now I see who were like picked it up and so on, like, this is great. Like, I hope that attitude builds over time, because I think that fan demand, even if it isn't one-to-one in sales, I think eventually that kind of fan demand and that kind of just lifting of the atmosphere around something and the approach to it can make a sequel. That can mean the demand is higher. Like, I'm sure we're going to get another Mario and Rabbids game because of how much fans loved it. And
per console at least.
Yeah, I mean, they've been, that game came out in not even 18. Was that a 17 release?
Yeah, it was like one of the first titles that came out. Yeah.
So
like,
like,
we're working on something.
Yeah, they've been quiet for 3 years. Though also that DLC was really, really big, so that's probably what they were doing for a year. But yeah, I want Pikmin 4. I want it to be a bigger and better game. I want it to just grow and grow. So yeah, I hope this is a very similar thing of, you're right, a slow burn. It's had a bad launch. There's no way getting around that now. So maybe a couple of decent sales and maybe some bundles or whatever. I don't know, but it would be really good. I'd love for them to add online co-op as well. But I get.
It would be really hard to do online co-op without better voice chat or something.
I think that's why this has purely local.
It would be really hard, to coordinate like, cross map.
Yeah. Whereas like Super Mario 3D World, you don't need to coordinate so much. You just need to kind of fight. So I get why they're happy for people not to speak in
around.
That. You're like, I'm just jumping. I'm just trying to get the hat. Like, leave me
jump.
alone.
Yeah.
And maybe, Black Friday's coming up, Christmas, maybe if it's bundled in with other games, maybe it will kind of find its audience. Who knows? But if you want to read more about Pikmin 3, the latest issue of Switch Player magazine is out.
Ready to go.
Cheeky plug. So this issue came out this week, I think, or it's coming out this week.
Only one of my favorite covers so far.
It's
so good. I want a print of this cover.
Yeah, I say every month is so good.
I get an issue as a writer, but I haven't become a patron just because I just hadn't yet. I never got around to it. I was like, I'll just get the magazine. I'll get to it. This is the magazine that's going to make me I have to be a patron now to get the poster and all the swag.
Yeah.
Alex, I would say we'd send you one, but you said you didn't like Pokemon, so maybe next month we'll send you an issue. But
all right, fine, fair enough.
There's lots of great features in there about Pikmin. If you want to learn more, maybe because you didn't know about the co-op.
I feel like I'm convinced. Like I'm about to download the demo like right after this. I think because you've definitely sold me on a lot more.
Hey, ¿por qué no? Why not?
You can play co-op in the demo.
So let's move on to the games that are out this week. We've got a couple of minor releases. We've got Mars Horizon, Sniper Elite 4, the Serious Sam collection, and a little game called Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I can almost hear our art director Jonathan screaming halfway across the world. He's like so excited about this game. But is it unanimous? Is everyone going to buy this game when it comes out?
No, absolutely.
I am staring at the icon, preloaded, waiting for midnight on Thursday. I can see it on my TV.
I've actually been like really trying to be good about spoilers, and I was just thinking, what am I going to do after the podcast? I'm going to like put a good show on and play something. I think tonight's the night I play the demo.
Yeah.
There is
really excited to play the demo.
There's a lot of story in the
demo.
demo.
I'm so excited. Should I not play the demo? Because
no.
It adds goes right into the game, right?
Yeah. The thing is, there's enough gameplay in it. I think if you started playing the demo now, you probably run out of stuff by the time the game comes out. Like I don't know. It depends how much you play, but there's definitely hours of content on that demo.
I've heard, and so I'm like, okay, if I start like this week. And I chip away at the demo this week. I was thinking I'd either play it tonight or stream it this week. And I'm really excited because prequel hype train.
It's going to be good. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Prequel hype train.
We're going to be talking about that all next episode. But as for this week in Nintendo Land, that's it. Alex, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So just quickly, where can people find some of your work if they want to know more?
Yeah, so if you want to see lots and lots of pictures of my work, head over to the Instagram. That's @Cptn Alex. And if you want to hear everything that's going on in my brain, as well as some pictures of my work, you can hit me up on Twitter. And my username there is @CPTN_Alex.
Amazing. I can't wait to see the custom PlayStation 5.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So as I said, yeah, next week's the big one, Age of Calamity. We're going to have a few team members from Switch Player talking about that, giving you their thoughts. So don't miss that next Monday. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
See you on the other side.